Welcome to the Breathwork Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Alicia, and today I'm very happy and excited to have with us a dear friend, Dr. Jim Morningstar. With a career spanning over 4 decades, Jim has emerged as a prominent figure in the fields of breathwork, psychology, and holistic health. His unwavering commitment to personal growth, healing, and human potential has left an indelible mark on these domains. As a true pioneer in the realm of breathwork, Jim possesses a profound understanding of the transformative power of conscious breathing. His innovative breathwork techniques blend ancient wisdom with contemporary psychology, offering individuals a path to self-discovery and holistic well-being. Jim is a respected author and educator, bringing his insights to life through the written word and transformative workshops. He is the founder of the School of Integrative Psychology and the Breathwork School Transformations. Jim Morningstar's contribution to the world of breathwork and his holistic approach to healing have touched the lives of many, giving them a sense of purpose and empowerment. His impact continues to resonate in the realm of personal development and holistic health. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome Dr. Jim Morningstar to our platform. Your wisdom and your dedication to human potential are truly inspiring. Welcome, Jim.
Oh, thank you so much, Alicia, for that generous and wonderful introduction. I am honored to be here because, as we talked beforehand, the sense when working together and collaborating has a touching into the heart of each of us. That's the green light, as it were, for me, as to this is where spirit is calling. And that is, I believe, what our privilege is to bring to the people in the world, is returning them back to listening to their inner calling. What is spirit calling for me in my life? And as you and I both agree on, because we've seen it happen so often in working with people, that the breath is that thread, that direct connection from the physical presence in one's life to one's source. That we have the honor to represent this to the world. I've always considered it the best job on earth.
Oh, I can agree on that. I can agree on that. It's such an honor to be able to facilitate breathwork to others and to show them the way, because the breath is always with us. So, Jim, would you like to share your personal journey with breathwork? And maybe how did you get interested in this practice? Because you are truly a pioneer in this field.
Well, I always knew in my life that I wanted to work with people, even though I was interested in science. But even way back when I was going to college, did I want to take engineering or psychology? And psychology won out because it could combine science with clinical work, working directly with people. But then I went into graduate school, and it was mostly about theory and working verbally with people. And there was something missing for me, because what actually in my personal life gave me that sense of vitality was movement in the body, playing sports, being in nature, and sitting in an office and being a talking head didn't appeal to me. So immediately, and I'm talking a day or two after I got the degree, my wife and I jumped on a plane and went to Africa, because I figured it was time to get out of my head and get my fingernails back in the earth, so to speak. And we traveled throughout Africa, and in the middle of the desert, actually, talk about divine inspiration, I found a book. It was called Monday Night Class with Stephen Gaskin. And this was a teacher in California who was working with community and the power of community dedicated to spirit. And that opened my eyes. Wow, that's wonderful. So I came back and engaged in planting gardens, but it wasn't until I found that there were ways to work with people directly using the body and movement and breath. Bioenergetics was one of the first that came along, and the pioneering work of Alexander Lowen, which I still use to this day. I still use his work, his observations on the developmental stages of people and how at each stage they reach a choice point, as it were. Mm-hmm. And those choice points influence the rest of their life. Now, when breathwork came along and I saw how intimately and beautifully it blended with Alexander Lowen's work, because he was a great believer in the breath also, but breathwork added another dimension. That began the journey for me of putting together, working with breath and using the body and body movement and body release techniques to create a way that spoke directly to people on a cellular level. I like to say that I was somewhat of a wise guy back in those days and thought, well, yes, I'm learning all this new stuff and breathwork is very interesting. I'll be on to other things soon. And well, you know what, Alicia, I have never found the end of what breath can teach. I have never found the heights nor the depths of what we can learn from the spirit of breath. So I am devoted to that, helping other people, not just with the tools that I have learned, because I have seen, and I'm sure you have too, that whatever skills you have, adding the breath to it enhances its power, its effectiveness. And so when I teach breathwork or in my school, I'm always interested in people bringing neuro-linguistic programming or tapping or EFT, bringing other things in to blend with breathwork rather than, nope, all you can do is breathe and you have to breathe this way and it has to.
Yeah. I'm on your team there too. I love to explore and combine and listening to other facilitators or even just clients.
Well, especially clients. Back in the olden days when I went to graduate school, there were no courses on trauma. No I mean, they knew about shell shock, people coming back from World War II that had significant impairment from the nervous system overwhelm. But when I got into full practice, all of a sudden, people were coming to me who didn't get what they were looking for in just talking about their life or their problems or their traumas. So they were my teachers. Yeah. I had to use the best of what I knew, but then get feedback and learn from them. And so now it's all the rage. Everything is trauma informed. Well, people that informed me about trauma were my clients.
Yeah, I believe that. So yeah, there's so much information now, but it wasn't like that before. You are absolutely right. And I guess that is still not all covered. So we can still learn from clients and from experiences because all of us are unique and the way the breath works through us is very different. Absolutely. From session to session and from person to person. And it's really, that's why it makes it also so exciting, right?
Exactly. And one thing I just want to acknowledge, you were talking about the introduction and breath work. You talked about the ancient techniques combined with contemporary discoveries. And that's what I love too. We haven't thrown the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, but we're not just devoted to do things the way they have been in a tradition for thousands of years. Yes, we will use that. But also there's such new learning that's coming in, things that we're finding from neurobiology and so bringing these together, that is, well, it's a new birth. So
Yeah.
our consciousness, and that's what it's about. It's about our raising our consciousness. And that is developed through community. Doing that together, we are doing things that are new under the sun.
Yeah, amazing. For me, so thrilling. And I really think that building community is so key, is so important again, because I guess we got the Western countries a lot, we are like scattered and we got to be very isolated from each other. We learned to be very, this part of being an individuum, we really got, and we forgot a little bit being a community, which is what gives you hold and strength. Yeah. And it's so important to come back to those roots again and collaborate instead of competition. So, yeah, I am a big fan of collaboration.
Well,
And I think that's the way we can grow together. And as you say, to higher the consciousness, because this is what we truly want to achieve as a person, as humanity. It's really higher our vibration. And that's only if we become more compassionate and more loving. And the breath is such a good teacher for that. Such places of joy and bliss. And it's difficult to describe with words, really, what one experiences.
absolutely, because it's the universal language that goes beyond words. I remember after I had been practicing breathwork for a while, I saw an ad somewhere and it said Global Inspiration Conference. And I said, what's that? And I looked at it and it was about bringing people together from all various countries who were doing breathwork. I said, well, I'm there. Where is
it? Yeah, I mean.
It was Italy.
Oh,
and
lovely.
and there I found people who gathered from around the world that didn't speak one another's language. And so it had to be, but yet there was a spirit there that brought us all together. Finally, after I went to enough of those conferences, I got the baton and I brought it to the United States, the first Global Inspiration Conference from the International Breathwork Foundation in the United States. And we had people from 22 different countries and we had to get translators but my goodness, that spirit is what kept these gatherings, world communities coming together. It was also at that conference that the light turned on for me and a number of others that this was proliferating breathwork around the world because it had such power and magnetism. And people were using it in sometimes very sketchy ways to satisfy their own needs more than just being inclusive of their clients. And so we thought, well, maybe it would be good to put wisdom together, people who've been doing this for a while, and say, well, how should people be trained? Not specifically just one way, but in general, what are parameters that would be good for people, helping people open their lives into new, what would be guidelines for training and ethics to operate ethically? So at that conference in 2001, were planted the seeds in the birth then with my now co-director of the Global Professional Breathwork Alliance. That happened at that time because Jessica Dibb and I had the same vision. And we came together with many others who, if they didn't have that exact vision, it resonated with them.
Yeah, amazing. Well, it's a great initiative you started, or you with other colleagues started, and now, now a lot of people get to listen to professionals, to facilitators, and get to know and to get in touch with the possibilities the breathwork brings. So it's really amazing, and also with internet, that information travels faster everywhere in the world, and we can work remote like we are having this interview. It's amazing, the reach we can have. Yeah. It's been a blessing for me too.
And regardless of the technology, if we don't put our heart and breath into it, as we know, technology can be used for all sorts of intentions and devices that are not in alignment with the highest good for all. So we still have to consciously develop all of these tools, and as it were, I call it God's job description. Well, what's God's job? Well, he breathes life into mud. She takes matter and infuses aliveness and spirit into it. And we've been given that privilege to continue to follow in that image and likeness of the divine.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very important to have the right ethics and the heart in the right place to do any kind of job. But with this job, of course, that people open themselves and they're vulnerable, and it's most important that the people are well informed, well trained, and because unfortunately nowadays you find courses in 5 days or 3 days, you get a certificate, and people just go and have amazing experiences, but maybe they don't have the right guidance. The space is not held in the proper way.
Correct.
So, but I am a big believer that things always fall in the right place and that the good always triumphs. So I'm sure that only the people with substance and the schools that really have roots and good ethics will survive and will stay. So, and it's amazing to see that it's growing and it's evolving. More and more people are aware of the benefits that breathwork has. That's why I call this podcast the Breathwork Revolution, because for me it's a revolution, but it's also evolution is in the word revolution. So we are going towards evolving. Yeah.
It's just like birth and rebirth, that original, and then we revisit it with new eyes, with new heart, with new energy. Because as we're saying, breath work will take us to another state of consciousness, will elevate and take us to the top of the mountain and be able to see greater vistas and deeper truths in our life. People like that climbing to the top of the mountain bit, but they don't recognize that when the circle expands, they also go deeper. They see the depths of who they are and what humanity is in the world, and what they still carry in their own genetic patterns. But that state of consciousness that breath work takes us to can be temporary. As we know, we can get excited about it, and then the next day it's like, what happened? What was that? Oh, bosses.
Oh, I wish I could stay there.
Right. And so what takes it from an elevated state to an elevated level is community. That's where we continue to work with one another, because people will be in various highs and lows, but to create what's called a steady state is something that develops over time. And we recognize that now, and that's why we're talking together. We want to share the best of what we know and have it, people take it. It's not exclusive. It's not ours.
Exactly. Yeah, no.
Take it, expand upon it. And people have often said, oh, why don't you come and talk to my community? And I said, well, I'm willing to do that once, perhaps. But really, you're the one with the spark. And my job is to support you to become that hub of your community. And that's the way this spreads, from my perspective, around the earth. And it's not like building an empire or having one central location.
Exactly.
Yeah. Collaboration and cooperation. And mutual learning then.
Yeah. I'm exactly on the same page with you there. I think it's really letting light all over the place, and then communing together. And when we are in these high states, as you say, we take better decisions. We see different possibilities, and we certainly are going to take different ways in the future to arrive to different places, with more equality, more love, more comprehension, more charity, and everything that we need for everybody. So it's amazing. It's amazing to have you here, Jim. I'm so delighted to have this conversation with you. Yeah. I'm also very, very honored that you are here and share your wisdom with us. And yes, I'm excited to do this and to spread the breath in the world.
Yeah,
So,
right.
and I say, yes, and remember, the next breath can change everything.